Okay. Welcome all to the first of many LinkedIn Live videocasts and podcasts that I'll be hosting on this platform. The whole idea behind this is to get experienced professionals with a diverse background to share their personal experience and learning across variety or varied situations. I believe that the learnings they've had in their personal journey to reach where they are can impact the life of someone outside their immediate circle. With that being said, I'm delighted to welcome Anish Aravind. Anish has a mixture of corporate consultancy and entrepreneurial experience spanning over 2 decades. He doesn't look like it, but he does have 2 decades of experience. His current focus is enabling the IT SME ecosystem in Kerala by mentoring and coaching entrepreneurs and business leaders on how to generate results from their talent. He has been identified as a top 20 HR influencer by ETHR World as well as SHRM, so Society of Human Resource Management. On a personal front, Anish is an avid cricket umpire and he recently umpired in the Blind Cricket World Cup in the UK this year. Welcome, Anish, and thank you once again for accepting to be part of this journey.
Thank you, Jonas. It's a great honor and pleasure to be with you and conversing about this interesting thing. So, looking forward and excited as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Anish. And it's a massive thanks to those who have joined on the live stream to show your support. I hope this is of significant value add to you. And with that, let's start with our video cast on transitioning into management. One of my very famous quotes that I really like is from Simon Sinek. He talks about leadership is not about being in charge; it's about taking care of those in your charge. It's something that kind of resonates with me. Are there, I would like to ask you, Anish, if there is something that on when it comes to management and leadership that kind of strikes you.
I'm glad that you brought in Simon Sinek. It's again what something he's one to me. He's the one who popularized the concept of why or purpose or context and connect. So, what strikes me is that everywhere there is a need for leaders everywhere. Okay, I mean they may not be titled as such, but so if there are ways in which you show this leadership aspect, so we'll have more discussions around that as we do. So there is there's opportunity for you to display your leadership in various ways. I'll take you through examples and then people are always looking for, so to be confident. That has been my personal story path as well, wherein it has always been somebody amongst the group where I've been that who's pulled me into those roles where I had not
Hmm.
imagined I would be even capable of, to be very, very frank. You'd feel jittery, and I mean, see, you know some of them yourself. I mean, I can take some names, Abhijit and Achal, and all those people. I mean, and even from my first job itself,
Hmm.
uh, this was the thing. So I am a strong believer that you are your elevator. You can be your elevator pitch in everything that you do, right? You display, or you make it
Yeah.
visual that okay, this person has. You can call it presence, or and it is not about difference between charming and all. No? So that's another part. So the media or the entertainment industry would have a different meaning to charm. You know? It's about, and you going back to Simon Sinek, it's about servant leadership, right? So that's what is in vogue, or that is being
Okay.
looked at now. It's not the authoritarian, or although it will go through this. So that will be my opening piece on on this whole.
Okay.
To me, it's always been like that. I mean, I would have,
Okay.
if I've started, I would have never thought of getting into a role that I've got, especially in the last. So in my 24 years, maybe the first 3 years or so, that's how it is. So it's from that fourth, fifth year onwards is when these opportunities came up, and
Wonderful. Okay, thank you for sharing that, and that kind of resonates with me. That whole bit about servant leadership. It's not about authoritarian. Just do what I say and forget about everything. One question that we always get, is what should be your elevator pitch for someone who's aspiring to become a people manager? Um, and firstly, if you can explain what an elevator pitch is, and what should be that for somebody who's aspiring to be a people manager.
Yeah, so this elevator pitch, of course, is popularized by the startup community last decade or so. So it's like uh,
Yeah.
you're in an elevator with somebody whom you aspire to be, or who's a big and let's say an investor or a venture capitalist, or a leader who has a significant role in maybe giving you something and or impacting your journey. And you have just, I mean, typically in India you don't have 100 floors in a building, so you have maybe a minute
Yeah.
or so to explain. So what is it that you
Yeah.
would do to and again I'll go back again to my I so if I go back, it is others, the rest of the world, who gave me those aspects and would have kind of pushed me into elevators whom I thought didn't even exist.
Nice.
So from
Yeah.
I think so. To me, it will be like be yourself is my and make it visual in as much of ways as possible, more than just the spoken part, because there's a lot of um, I see also because and
Mm.
especially with this the last 7 8 years I've been working with people who are specially able. So you they can't talk in a lot of. So it's the whole part is that means you
Oh,
are the whole self is what you can do. Your strengths are what you can bring in. So to me, this whole speaking alone is not a huge bit. So that's I don't know if I answered it
okay.
in the manner, but I've
No, it's very interesting. The elevator pitch that you are saying is, it's not just about the words. It's about bringing that entire individual, to the forefront, and it could also be about, you have a certain value system that you are deeply, that kind of stays with you, and if that value system is matching with the value system of an organization, and you're able to articulate it, then as a leader, I can see that natural connect, and I know that this is somebody that can take care of my
and more
employees.
so, I just want to add that you see, because of this Google world, these things otherwise can be rutted or learned in that manner. No? So it's like
Yeah.
objective that people write on their resumes. No? It is copy pasted
Yes.
from God knows where. So well, and I've heard the people being coached on elevator pitches and all, and that's not wherein it is very difficult to, I would say, to be, I mean, it can be found as very genuine. It is very credible that you're bringing your whole
Yeah.
self, and this is what you get. What you see is what you get, and that kind of a piece in those short time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Again, this comes from my experience where I've been pulled into a lot of these roles.
Mm.
Even this week, I've
Mm.
been kind of put into roles where I
Yeah.
thought, no, 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 this is, and they explain. So yeah, so long answer for that. So I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but that's the.
Okay. Have you ever asked, the people that pull you into these roles, what made you think I could do it?
Oh yeah, that's an interesting. See, I will not take names here, but there is a person whom I admired as a leader or a would-be HR knowledgeable person, and incidentally, this was in 2005. So that was my first manager role, as in title. This was
Okay.
it was in Wipro. So you can, I mean, you look at the name, you will get to know who the people are. So and when I saw this person's resume. So when you
Uh-huh.
go and sit on your manager's desk, you will find the previous person, or that the person, the PA or somebody had kept all the resumes who were part of the shortlist. It was there. It was by. I saw
Oh,
that okay, these are the people who were considered. So I went to my boss, then boss, and asked him, okay, why have you hired? What made you hire me? This is exactly the thing I asked. I thought this person
okay.
would have been a better fit, or
Yeah.
so you know what he said. He said, hey. Yeah, I agree that this is a, but there is a strength of this person in this particular
Yeah.
role. I want a
Yeah.
implement, not an ideator. So, and
Ah.
in your experience, what you have, so that would have, that was my second job also. So, and this was a 1.5 year waiting kind of a thing. Because the first interview happened 1.5 years
Oh,
ago, and then after that, about then the role came up, and then they came back to me again, and then I got through. So he had that much. So he said, no, this role for me is an implementer role, and comparatively, the other person seems to be more of a thinker and ideator,
got
and
it.
not as been from the experience, as seen from the experience. So this is why I chose you. And you know what happened to me afterwards was that this was my challenge then to see, okay, now within, so that was my fifth year or fourth year, I guess. And then I said, okay, that means if I need to become um, ideator, I have to do more. So,
Got it. Yeah.
so I know, okay, I'm not there yet. So by implementing, then okay, then you also get to know, you get into design. So if you need to design, you need to go really from scratch. No, so
Yeah.
that was what. And then if you see my career from there, another I think 5 or 6 years, these numbers may go here and there. I got into um, the designer. Right now, I'm a designer, or I don't implement most of the things. Although I mean,
Got it.
it will be the clients who would go. I mean, I travel along with them. In the last eight to
Yeah.
10, 8 years or so, and even from even at the
Right.
CHRO level, when I had the last job, it was more. No, you're co-traveler. You don't really go and you don't sit on the
Yeah.
HRMS and do those calculations like I did in the maybe the earlier days and also. So you might design
Okay.
or help people design or lead a manager, or coach manager, those kind of stuff.
Wonderful. Actually, one thing that kind of struck me when you shared that example was you went back and asked the person, why did you select me? And sometimes that is the biggest revelation. You have the Johari window, you don't know something about you, but somebody else knows something about you. And when you're able to find that gap, you then progress on the leadership, ladder. So that's wonderful. Okay, let's move on to the next question. What are the main challenges that individuals face when moving from an IC role to a manager role?
Okay, so the IC role, and then the this okay. Let me give a context here for my answer. In most situations that we do, even we do it as HR people as well, we look at an individual contributor, and for the last 5 years of performance or 3 years of performance, it's all individual contribution excellence that is being looked at. But we are looking at from a manager leader role. That means you have to manage others, tasks,
Hmm.
personalities. So
Hmm.
where the and brain is a shortcut seeking organ, right? So now if
Hmm.
you're in a role, if you're put in a role, the first thing would be, let me do it myself. That is what an IC
Got it.
person would go. This is the core piece that has to be changed. As a
Ah,
manager, you don't do it yourself.
yeah,
You kind of, even as a leader, that's the next level. So when I get into
yeah.
of course, I'll not go in the short time. I'll not go into difference between manager and leader, but I'll kind of cover. So this is the
Hmm.
key part. So our shortcut seeking brain would always look, okay, I tried, I explaining one this thing. Okay, let me do it myself. And this is the biggest uh, I think challenge there. And another part is, you see, some of the industries. This is pertaining to India. Uh, we need,
Hmm.
if I take the IT industry or service industry, the industry needs
Hmm.
managers. Where do they find managers? They find managers from the individual contributors. So that process of
Hmm.
selection without objective assessment, some companies have started doing that in the last decade or so. So when I
Yeah.
say for the majority, there's no real assessment or
Hmm.
finding out what. So the better companies do it. So that also becomes a challenge. In most situations, it's the not so ready people that end up becoming managers.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah. And you brought this important point that, um, Typically, okay, I'm making an assumption, a very big assumption here. Somebody who's a high performer would be considered for a managerial role. Again, big assumption. Now, what got you to be a high performer is maybe going out of your way and doing tasks, your work ethic,
Mm.
etc. Um, Not everybody is tuned the same way that you are
Yeah.
tuned, would have that high aspiration, high ambition. So when you are leading a team of people, not everybody will have the same level of energy or drive to actually get to do what you want to do. So that element of that shift in understanding the energies, the motivation of these individuals within your team is an important part. Also, the element of delegation. You can't do everything. That's why you have a team, which you rightly indicated. That's also something that people struggle to do, to delegate the task, to effectively manage without micromanaging. I think those are challenges. Unless you are taught the right way of to how to do it, it would be really a
Yeah, so
challenge.
I let me bring back because you want we said no. There's an example which happened in my life. So I've been blessed with a lot of very good leaders who I told you those people and some of them, but I'll share this with them. So my first general manager, the TIS graduate. When I was just an officer in HR, he used to tell me that okay, I'm going to give you this intern or and this is going to be your responsibility. And because they used to be, I think, from TIS and I think Bits Pilani, people used to come for interns. I was in Century Rayon, so they had chemical engineers coming in. They had these future HR TISians coming in. So this is where he used to test me, I guess. Now I realize he was testing me. Then it was like, okay, you
Okay.
take this person, do this, this is. So it was instructions. Okay, this was the thing. But then he would check and he'll get back to me and say, okay, what happened? What did you do? So I remember there was a time when um, I had taken a female trainee into what was earlier a very forbidden area within the plant. Okay, can't go there because of
Oh,
the very high fumes and stuff like that. And I gave her this background and said, hey, this is the thing, but I think it should not be a problem, but you need to be aware of this. And then I took, and then it became a so the union came to know, and because and it was the first time somebody there is saying a lady walking there, so then of course it reached my boss, and then he didn't reprimand or something. He asked me, okay, what happened and what was the thing, so I explained this is thing. So I think that was those were the I would say seeds of those things. And it took me another maybe couple of years to realize he was actually doing it to, and I keep doing it even now with people in the teams here, and they say, okay, you have um, there's a huge opportunity for internship. No, this is how you and then so you don't have a I didn't have a title then as okay, just an HR officer or a divisional personnel officer or whatever that, but then this is how you lead this person, explain this thing. No,
okay.
when you say no, it's if you can't micromanage, why do you get micromanage? It's because exactly this is how you should do. There's no other things and what happened,
Yes.
and you're on and then you're not giving the persons the freedom, and then they would not be engaged or involved in what it is. And then so in a sense this was in 2001 that this happened. So and that lady now is I think a VPHR somewhere, I would say, or CHRO. I mean, last time I checked.
Wow.
Not now. I think the last 10 years or so, because they have a fast plan. So I yeah. So this is one I thought I'll bring it as an example of saying, and this is an opportunity that is there for a lot of individual contributors. There will be, so seek those trainees, seek those. I think youngsters who are coming in eager to learn and impart some of those things in the space that you are in, and share those things, and that those will be the foundation of managerial and leadership qualities that you will get, and with less pressure. There's not
Okay.
much of pressure. You're not going to be reviewed on that, like
Got it.
thing.
Okay. Very nice. Very nice. And thank you for sharing that example. It must have been a really brave decision to do that. But sometimes ignorance is bliss also, right?
Yeah, see, yeah, I didn't think of it that way. Yeah, my thing was that okay, no, this it's a if I explain what is happening there by, let's say, in a manner, she would not get what it is all about. You have to get a feel of the plant, or
Mm,
otherwise you would not get it. And it's all about, if you understand the Factories Act. No, there's this whole thing about why humidifiers are required. So this was a place where humidifiers were in function. Without
yeah.
humidifiers, you can't go in there. So you would have
Got it.
read and said, okay, there is what is a humidifier? This is what it is. But why is it required? What are the safety precautions that you do? And so to explain that, the best thing is to take the person through that thing and say, without that, you can't. The place is full of fumes of sulfuric acid. So without humidifiers,
Okay.
this
It's
uh,
dangerous.
yeah, so I didn't think all the but the focus was to get the person to know, okay, to empathize and say, okay, this is why the workmen staying there required humidifiers. That's how the conversation started. And it's okay, let me show you. Okay, let's go to this plant and see why it is where it all comes about.
Okay, perfect. Okay, let's move on to the next one. How can aspiring managers effectively communicate their potential to their superiors, or even the hiring managers? Not specifically talking about an
Ah.
interview, but but you know, um, essentially, how do you show your leadership potential?
See, the first is to believe that okay, there are people looking for you, looking for leadership. And that is, and when
Mm,
you know that you are there are people looking for things, and if you have them, you will want to display that. That is, and being
mm,
yourself. And so, if I take, I mean, in the positive time, I'll say one example. Let's take LinkedIn for that matter. Let's take LinkedIn. Let's say somebody
mm.
is you want to be hired into a managerial role. Okay. Okay. And
Okay.
LinkedIn is a professional network, and people are searching talent there. So that's a good platform for
Yeah.
you to be displaying or connecting. And so one would be answering questions on that the
Mm,
people would have been talking about managing. There'll be a lot of questions. They'll be on a comment, or they'll be as a part of. So follow people and then answer questions yourself. And if you want to answer a question, you
got
just
it.
can't blurt out something. You have to study, you have to go back, research, find out if it's good, and be confident to type those answers. I mean, even today I was speaking to a
Mm,
mentee of mine who's not been into, she's shy about posting on LinkedIn. So now, and I'm sure she would cover that up in maybe about a week or two. Now, this is,
yeah.
and so I'm taking a very practical example. LinkedIn is just one, and like you
Mm,
said in the beginning, there it can be any surrounding that you're in, and which is why that be
yeah.
yourself is much more than just two words there. Uh, Um,
Yeah.
and see, it took a lot of time for me to realize, and again, thanks to my bosses and others, to say that hey, there will be people looking for this. The talent is always required. They may not put it on
Yeah.
advertisements, but they would. And referrals also, if you notice now, even through LinkedIn and others. So this is so the identify those platforms which you are stronger in, and then display what you are, what is comfortable to you.
Mm,
And
mm.
believe me, there will be people who are looking for, and they'll be able to look at patterns and connect. That will be my
Yeah.
take.
Interestingly, when you talked about the LinkedIn example, I had a few colleagues who got very active on LinkedIn for the last 6 months. And one thing that happened with them after 6 months, they got a job offer.
Mhm.
Um, and they didn't talk about job opportunities. They talked about other things. What happened was their circle of influence. And so I asked them, how did were you actually looking out for a job? And they said no, they didn't. They weren't looking out actively, but by the fact of actually responding, putting your thoughts out there, being visible, all of those things that can happen even in an internal office environment.
Yes.
People started reaching out to them and saying, "Hey, let's have a conversation."
Mm.
And one thing led to another, and people got hired to different opportunities. So more often than not, it's maybe at least those were senior roles, but more often than not, just putting your work out there,
Mm.
just talking about it, having a perspective, and also sharing ideas of how you can make things better, because everybody is looking for ideas, and willingness to work. I remember there was a quote that one of my mentors used to share with me. He says, "Rough seas make better sailors."
Yeah.
So you need tough times to actually, and people are looking for, as you said, to raise your hand and say, "Hey, I'm up to taking up that challenge." And if you can articulate that, you'll be first in the list.
Yeah, so articulation is key, and then that comes with strength. And again, it's the strengths that you keep refining that will get you there. So
Mm, mm,
to be very
mm.
confident, and because if you're trying to look at a weakness, then you're going to be very tense. Okay, oh, okay, I know that this is not happening, and you will miss the fact
Yeah,
that okay, new brain has its ability to be neuro. I mean, there's this neuroplasticity and all those pieces which is there. All that will not come
mm,
to you. I said, no, no, I can't do this. Whereas if
yeah,
through your strengths, if you go,
yeah.
then the potential and the key part with strengths is that it will be displayed. You can't
Got it.
really bottle up your strengths. It will come out, when you're being true to yourself, it will come out. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. Wonderful. Okay. This kind of brings me to the next part of my question. In terms of, once you become a manager, um, people, and this could be if you're being promoted within the team,
Mhm.
people still see you as a peer. If imagine Anish and me are in the same team,
Mhm.
Anish gets promoted to a manager. I still see Anish as a peer that I have had that rapport with. Now, as a new manager, I'm expected to establish authority
Yeah.
and build rapport, which is dichotomous. So, how do you go about doing it as a manager when you took up those managerial assignments?
See, for me, what has been worked is that what has been working, and what I trying to impart to new managers, my coach into roles is that, see, you are leading human beings. You're managing human
Hmm.
beings. So every
Hmm.
human being is looking at what's in it for me. Every human being,
Hmm.
and that's how
Okay.
evolution has driven us. And so as a team, whether you show authority or is the second part, but if you are able
Hmm.
to provide links to that individual, and if we call it personalized, say, paths or personalized approach of telling, if you have five people in your team, the same
Hmm.
communication may need to be given in five different ways or two different
Hmm.
ways or so this is the part of, to me, that is establishing authority, because then you are a credible expert on that. You are helping the
Got it.
team traverse that path, because you know, and that part is what the team would look at. It can even
Hmm.
be, it can even be simple things like sanctioning leave, which can be
Yeah.
managers. If you have five people, all
Okay.
five of them are leave, what do you do? And you don't do it when that thing, obviously, you have to prepare. Okay, that means there's going to be life events, there would be personal things, you have to plan, business, so it comes in. So this brain science view of science that the brain requires, they'd be looking at what's in it for me, and they would, and you can design things where most of the, and you can design win-wins for them.
Got it.
This is the approach that I would recommend.
Okay, let's take the leave example,
Yeah.
Anish. It's a very, very real thing. Say there is festival, in a particular region.
Mhm.
Everybody wants to take leave during a festival. So how do you, as a manager, balance that? The thing that needs to business should need to happen, as well as you're mindful of the fact that people need to take leave. How would you do that?
Yeah, so long back, so you plan much ahead, like, so and you understand that the strengths and weaknesses of your team, life situations. Like, rarely you will get a team which is all campus hires. You will get a mix of team members, no age groups and all. So, and maybe even if it's festival, then there's religions involved. So all those aspects would come in, right? So
Yeah.
it is your pre-dated information about your team members that will help you plan the leaves. It is not on
Ah,
the day that you come in, okay, okay, what do I do? And I've seen people come in, okay, what did you do? For example, you put them on what do you do? No, that doesn't work that way. You if you
no,
have five
no, no.
members, you would, and if you look back, it is easier because you would have been involved in hiring them in most cases, or at least the manager who hired them would have given you the input, or you could have the data on the personal files available to you and say, okay, what is it? See, if I'm put into a new team
Hmm.
and you say I'm going to head a new team, the first thing that I would do would be to look at what all information is available about those team members,
Okay,
go through
correct.
it, sift through it, and understand. Okay, this is what it is. But this guy likes cricket. This guy likes football. This guy is married. This guy has kids. And all those aspects is what will help us help me explain the business situation to the
Yeah,
person, and then and these will be exigencies because these are in most cases unplanned leaves is what is giving us trouble. Planned leave should not be too
yeah,
much of an issue because you know you would have taken care of that. You know it is coming up. Like August 15th is coming. You know you have 10 people in the team. Who are the people if you require? Those are, I, I think it sounds easy, but is that it is a lot of preparation behind.
yeah. No, it's interesting. When you mentioned that the preparation, those one-on-one connects to understand the individual, what are their motivations, what's non-negotiable for them. Like some individuals, who have family responsibilities, who have to take care of their kids, there is no way they're going to come to office on that particular day because their kids are at home. So then how can we flex, and look at how to support? So those are elements that you can build as trust amongst your team
Hmm.
members. And once you build that trust, you can be able to get your way, um, is what I believe. That could be one of the ways. One of the
Yes,
ways is
definitely.
as you had indicated.
Yeah, the trust is what
Is
is giving building the trust by giving, because they know that okay, my with him or my what's in it for me is taken care of by my leader or my manager. That means okay, when and there will be exigencies. In some cases, you might have to say there is only way you're requesting, and the way is to request, not to kind of reprimand and say no, 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 you have. And then so you don't want person to come in. And I'm talking about creative roles. I'm not saying okay, you just need to somebody sit, warm the chair. No, these are you have to come and connect and contribute on that day as well, right? So it's not just a um, tick mark. Okay, this you need to just come to office today. That's not how it is, right?
okay. Wonderful. Okay. This kind of, we've kind of answered a few questions during this video cast in terms of looking at what should be our elevator pitch, how do we frame it, what are the opportunities that are there. We also talked about the challenges in terms of the mindset shift between moving from an individual contributor to a manager role. Um, Anish, you also provided very nice examples of real life situations, where how do you tackle some of these situations, and you cannot prepare for it till it comes to you.
Yes.
And so what is the groundwork that you
No,
do
yes.
to be ready for these situations? So very interesting conversation. I am so glad, Anish, you've always been a pioneer in trying out different and new techniques,
Oh,
especially in the HR tech space, whether it's Clubhouse or this LinkedIn Live. And I'm very
it's
glad
been
that
lucky
you have
being right places. Thank you.
you've been part of this. So thank you. Massive thanks to all those who have tuned into the live stream and shown support. It is going to take me some time to go through the comments, but rest assured, I will acknowledge your presence. And thank you once again, Anish. Is there any final thoughts that you would like to share to the audience?
I think I would see if to managers who are already there, if they can share their thoughts and their journeys. Like, so I would call upon maybe now you've gone public. Like Jonas is the person who can. So please reach out to Jonas and raise your hand, share your journey. I think that I'm sure this is going to help a lot of those. And see, India is a diverse country. No, there's a lot of, and we can cover the entire nation, even somebody from other countries as well. So that is what I would love for people to. For the others who are aspiring, there's a lot of material available to prepare
Yeah.
you in that whole background work, no, preparation part. So make use of it, and say follow people who are already willing to share some of these. And a lot of people like Abhijit and all shares a lot of stuff on LinkedIn, no, about and making it visual. And
Yeah.
SHRM provides links to so many of those resources. There is SHRM PMQ. If you there is a particular program, no, about people manager coaching, and so like that there are ways and means for them to do. So be confident that reach out and get those resources. And so I'm wishing them all the very best.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Anish. Great words of advice. And please look out for those resources. I'll put that in the comment section at the end of our live stream. And with that, thank you very much. Have a good rest of your day. Thank you so much, Anish, once again.
Thank you, Jonas. Have a great evening.